Time to check to see what's making headlines in our Across Africa report. 4 men charged in connection with Kenya's Westgate Mall massacre in September appeared in court on Monday. The suspects, none of whom are accused of being the gunmen, have pled not guilty to charges of supporting a terrorist group. In a ceremony to formally end Congo's bloodiest conflict in a decade was delayed on Monday by an 11th-hour feud between the government and M23 rebels. The disagreement is not over the content of the deal, but whether the document should be called a peace agreement or something more vague. And a Rise News Across Africa report continues now with our contributor, Frankie Edozien. Hey, Frankie.
Hi, Debbie.
It's good to see you.
How are you?
Yeah, you got some really interesting stuff to talk about today.
Yes.
Some happy, some not so happy.
Some tough, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, so let's start off with this. There's an effort to repatriate Somali refugees back to Somalia from Kenya. Tell us about this.
So there are at least 500,000 people who are Somalians who have been living in Kenya since at least 1991. And what the United Nations High Commission for Refugees wants to do is to have those people voluntarily go back home. They don't want to force anybody to go back home, but they do want people to go back home. The Somali government wants its people to come back and help with the rebuilding. Here's the problem. Many of them don't want to go back home because they realize that it's not quite safe for them. And Kenya, which has been a really good host for them, is now feeling like after Westgate Mall, where Somalians actually were allegedly the members of Al-Shabaab who blew up this mall and killed so many people, they don't want them hiding among the Somalian refugees in their midst. They feel like the refugee centers have become a shield for Al-Shabaab combatants. So it's a really difficult position for Kenya, which has been a really good host all this time. The other problem with that is that many of the Somalians have had families. They've got married and have children and have, their children have never been in Somalia. So for them, Kenya is home. And they're not excited about now starting a new life anywhere. In the beginning, they were refugees. Now they feel like Nairobi and its environs is home.
They're part of the society.
They're part of the community there. That's home for them, not Somalia. And so we have this situation where over the next 3 years, there's going to be this experiment as to see how many people will actually go back. United Nations says it's not forcing anyone, but they are putting pressure.
Now, is the discontent among Kenyans about Somalians going back, is it really just pegged to the massacre at Westgate Mall, or is it something that's been sort of insidious and building over time?
Well, what we're being told is that there has been tensions, but Westgate Mall obviously exacerbated this. I mean, obviously, it takes a long time to get the three parties to agree that people should go home, but you can imagine the Kenyan government at this point in time saying, yes, let's speed this up. We've been good. We've had 20 plus years of having refugees and taking care of them, but now we want to have these people go back home and rebuild their country so that they don't have to keep coming here.
Two questions. Any incentive for them to go and any penalty if they choose not to?
Well, they won't be penalized at the moment because they are not being forcibly evicted. They're being encouraged and being pushed to go. And what is the incentive for them? Of course, the Somalian government, everybody wants to see them succeed. So if a lot of people come back and they can reclaim much of Somalia and rebuild it, that would be a good thing for Somalia. But some of those children are Kenyans. Maybe not a name, but that's what they know. They've lived outside of Nairobi and in these camps, and they're not interested in going to a place where their parents ran away from. So
500,000, you say this applies to?
At least.
Yeah, we'll see how many of them actually take them up on it. Okay, let's go on to our next topic. This is, I don't even know what to think about this. This poverty tourism.
Yeah, this is really, it's really, really disgusting. I mean, this is a Bloemfontein, which is South Africa's judicial capital. There is a luxury spa over there, Imoya, and they have all the things that you'd want in a luxury game reserve, except now they have simulated a shantytown. They've basically simulated a poverty-stricken area for people to come in and pay close to $100 a night and have the experience of living in a shantytown. I mean, it's just like, it makes your skin crawl when you think about it. What is so sad about this is that people who live in shantytowns don't make that kind of money even for a whole month. So to think of recreating this experience as if poverty was a cultural thing that you could come in and experience. Nobody wants to live in a shanty town. It's not like an African mud hut where it's cultural and people have been living in mud huts for years. People who live in shanty towns and these shacks, they only live there because there is no alternative. It's not that they want to. Nobody wants to do that. So for this luxury company to create this as if it were an experience you could pay for, it's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling, and to tell you the truth, it's not really the experience. As I understand, they have underfloor heating, electricity.
Well, it's simulated poverty because you get the look and
bathrooms
the cosmetic
with showers.
of it, but then you get showers, you get Wi-Fi, you get heat. I mean, people who live in shanty towns, one of the problems with the shanty towns is that in the winter it gets so cold. They're not waterproof. When it rains, they have buckets to pick up the water. And they even move to a higher ground whenever it rains because oftentimes they're flooded. This is not the experience that people would be paying for. But even if you could get that experience, why use people's pain of being poor as a money-making venture?
As a recreation.
Yeah, it's just awful.
Yeah, at the very least, they should give their profits to the shanty towns.
But they're not going to.
No, they're not going to. Okay, something else that's a little interesting. I don't know if it's quite as outrageous,
yes.
but this is the Ghanaian minister.
Yes.
Made a very controversial statement.
Yes, Victoria Hammer, she's the Deputy Minister for Communications in Ghana, and all my friends have been talking about her for a while. You know, she's a young woman and she's involved in politics. She helped the president get elected, but she was caught on tape saying that she was not going to leave politics until she made $1 million. And that, you know, basically saying politics is about corruption and that she is corrupt. So it was not a good day for her. She was instantly dismissed. She has complained that her privacy has been violated, but on the other hand, everyone in Ghana has been saying this is really not a good thing for the government.
It's probably the last thing they need.
Yes.
Has she apologized for this or acknowledged it?
She has remained mum. She said nothing except complain that, you know, she was taped in her car allegedly by her driver. So she has
her privacy has been violated.
Yes, because the tape was played all weekend on radio stations in Ghana and also on the internet. So she's
Is there any
like,
call for her to
apologize?
Not to apologize, to step down.
Well, she's been fired.
Oh, she has been fired. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Instantly, yeah. She was dismissed without explanation. The government didn't say why she was dismissed, just that she is no longer a minister of the Republic of Ghana.
Yeah, they really didn't have to say why in that regard. Okay, so we end on a great note.
Yeah.
Nigeria did well in the under-17.
This is the 4th time Nigeria has won the World Cup of Soccer in under-17, and they did very well against Mexico. It was a 3-0 game in Dubai, and it was quite something.
Can you do play-by-play? We've got...
Well, I could try.
How has their season been? Was this a surprise at all?
It was not a surprise because they're very good. This is their 4th championship, and for a couple of years they were runner-ups. So the under-17 has been really good, and so this speaks to the next generation of sports in Africa. We know that everyone around the subcontinent likes soccer, but to have African nations, particularly Nigeria, which is so populous, do well continuously, it's a good thing.
I was going to say, what does that mean for the country, for the people, for the psyche?
For the psyche, everyone was rejoicing from Nigeria to Houston. Anywhere where there was a Nigerian, there were people dancing this weekend. And, you know, we as Africans, we all love the Mexicans. We feel a kinship with them, but we're very happy to get this win over them.
Well, and for Americans like me who think football is the NFL,
right.
Explain what the under-17 is.
So it would be as if you had like a junior version of the
World Cup.
Yes, you know, so it's not, these are semi-professional players, and this is where you sort of like get the next generation of professional players. Many of them are supposed to be in school, but some of them are not all quite in college yet because of economic issues, but they use soccer as a way to like find the next big thing.
Got it. Sort of like our baseball minor leagues.
Exactly. It would be the equivalent of a minor leagues.
Fantastic.
But this is on a global scale.
Yeah, congratulations to them for that. All right, Frankie, it's great as always.
Thank you, Debbie.
All right, see you next week.
All righty.
And you're watching Arise America.